For the end of 2022, I really wanted to do an anime vinyl awards, come up with some awards for all the releases that year, whether they be valid or ridiculous. For example, the Spindle Hole Award, an award for a record's label art that lines with the spindle hole in a cool, fun, or interesting way. And as you can see there, One Piece New World definitely won that one, so yeah, One Piece fans, rise up in the comments for that W. Welcome to Music in Anime, my name is Ab, and because I couldn't make that awards video, I figured I'd just talk about some of my favorite pickups, or some pickups that stuck out to me over the course of 2022, regardless if they were released 2022 or not, that I wanted to share with you guys. On my list are anime and video game music, as well as vinyl and CDs. CDs nuts.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Really, dude?
Getting back on track, there's 15-ish things on this list. I say 15-ish, I might show an extra thing or two. And these are in no particular order, so they're not set from like least favorite to most favorite or anything. As I show you some of my favorites, I would love for you to comment some of your favorite pickups in 2022 as well. So let's get to my first one, Tiger Lab Vinyl's repress of the Elfen Lied soundtrack. This is Yukio Kondo and Kayo Konishi, the composers of it. I absolutely love this soundtrack. If you've been following my content, you know I'm a big fan of Elfen Lied soundtrack. Very early on my channel, I did a cover of Lilium, the anime opening, on piano, and I also did an arrangement of Promise, which is one of my favorite pieces on this soundtrack. But I arranged it in the style of Final Fantasy's Nobu Uematsu, so if you want to check that out, also include those in the description as well. So yeah, it would mean the world to me if you check those out. I do have the original release, which is this one right here. That's the original art for the one that came out 2018, I believe it was. But what stuck out to me about the repress of this one here is the fact that Tiger Lab Vinyl went out of their way to get different art for it. They got it from Sentai Filmworks and everything, and they included an art booklet as well. Something I learned about the art booklet, it was only on 2 of the 4 variants for this release. The Lucy Split and the Lucy Burst, which was on Tiger Lab Vinyl's website. The other 2, on All the Anime and Light in the Attic, they didn't include that art book. Moving on to number 2. This next one here is Star Stories by AJ DiSpirito. This is a cover album, or an arrangements album, of music from Super Mario Galaxy. This is a Mario game that I've never played, so I've never heard the music of it. I was listening to a lot of Pitan's arrangements. I was listening to everything that she's done, and with V2R Trio. There's a V2R arrangements album for Super Mario Galaxy as well, and listening to Rosalina's Observatory, I just became obsessed with that piece, and that's how I came across DiSpirito's arrangement of it. The Super Mario Galaxy in general is a very nice, calming soundtrack to begin with, but DiSpirito's arrangements are even more so. Very calming, very relaxing, and yeah, Rosalina's Observatory is the only reason I sought after this album on vinyl. But yeah, that's Star Stories. On to number 3 is actually 3 albums for Dark Souls. The Dark Souls trilogy. These were pressed on vinyl some years ago, but Space Labs did a repress of these, and I'm so glad that I was actually able to get this on vinyl. I absolutely love it. In Dark Souls 1 and 2, you can hear the angelic vocals of Emmy Evans, who's also one of the main vocalists in Nier Automata's soundtrack. Have you been watching the anime? Episode 2, I'm recording this on Saturday. Episode 2 is out today. I need to watch that. Anyway, Dark Souls 3, the main theme. I love it when a video game's menu screen has music that just stops me in my tracks and just prevents me from hitting that start button. You know what I mean? Like start the game. I'm just stuck on that main screen because of just how mesmerizing the music is. The entire album is great, but the menu music, that track alone is worth the price, easily. That track was one of the inspirations for my Attack on Titan video. I took UC Big Girl from Attack on Titan Season 2 and arranged that in the style of Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Very proud of that, and what I'm most proud of was getting the violin section down. If you know the main theme, the way the violins are just harmonizing with each other in 3 separate melodies happening at once, and I really wanted to replicate that. Hopefully I did, and if you haven't checked that arrangement out, I'll have it here or again in the description. Please check that out. A lot of work went into it, so yeah. Going on to number 4. Exception by Ryuichi Sakamoto. Just hearing that first track and knowing that he was doing the entire soundtrack for the series completely set the tone for a story set in space. I did a cover of the theme as well, if you wanted to check that out, but I knew we were in for something special. And yeah, I mean, listening to this album, the music is very desolate, really giving you that feel of the vast, uncomforting emptiness of space. While that feeling of emptiness is present, the melodies carried out throughout the soundtrack by the violin give you a sense of intrigue and despair. The synth work on this album is really what gives it that sci-fi feeling, like that feeling of, oh, you're in space and stuff like that. But there are instances while listening to this which really reminds me of like the desert as well, because deserts are also vast and, you know, desolate places. As I was listening to the album, I really had images of, you know, walking through a desert at night, looking up at the sky completely full of stars and nebulas, planets and stuff, just completely in awe but terrified at the same time. I really enjoyed listening to this, and it's great for letting your mind get lost in space.
I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. Thank you for pushing me forward for so long, but
Josee, the Tiger and the Fish. I absolutely love Evan Call, composer to, Violet Evergarden. I love this soundtrack. I love the movie. The movie's great. The only thing about this soundtrack I can say, other than like if you like Violet Evergarden, you'd like this as well, is that there's a Christmas song in here that's just like probably the most authentic sounding Christmas song I've heard in any anime, really. It's because of that one song that I think of this as kind of a Christmas album for some reason, which is in no way everything else, every other track in it is not Christmassy whatsoever. It's just that one track that makes it. Another thing about this, and something outside of the soundtrack, but something I did last year, was meet the English voice actor for Josee herself, and that is also the voice actor for, this is Vladilena from 86. She also voices Eula, the English voice for Eula in Genshin Impact, and Yuffie in the Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC, so there's also that. Anyway, she's an awesome, awesome person. After she had seen the movie Belle, which... Actually, you know what? Just going on to the next one here. Suzie Yeung, after watching the movie, she uploaded some acapella of her singing Lend Me Your Voice from the soundtrack. I just took her vocals and accompanied it with piano. I played some piano to it. Yeah, if you wanted to listen to that, I have a link. Throw it up here or put a link in the description where I just upload music stuff.
lend me your voice.
Let's talk about Belle. There's something I might have missed about this release because I could have sworn that it was just the English that was on it, not the Japanese songs as well. But no, upon playing it, it was the Japanese songs as well as the English songs. And it's kind of evenly split for like one side's Japanese and the other side is English. So that in itself made this just an awesome release. This release though had some issues, on the sides of it. There was some flashing sticking out. There were just, like the nubs on the edges that I had to cut out with just some nippers. I also had to widen out the spindle hole because it was too small for the spindle. There's an actual tool that you can use for that, that they make specifically to make the spindle hole the exact size it needs to be if it's too small. I'll invest in one of those tools at some point, but anyway, next we have Persona 3. Shoji Meguro. If you know your Persona games, I haven't even opened my copy yet, but I watched my brother play a couple of the Persona games when we were younger, and Persona 3 is the one that really stuck out to me the most, or one that's most vivid in my memory, because out of everything in the game, the Blue Velvet Room, the music that played whenever he was in there, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's a poem for everyone's souls, or hymn of everyone's souls. I think in Persona 5 is called Hymn of Everyone's Souls, but in here, I think it's Poem of Everyone's Souls. That's one of those tracks I can just listen to on repeat forever, like for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Persona 3, obviously a must-have. If you've seen the entire box that you can fit Persona 1 through 5 in, the amount of girth of that box, oh my god. To fit 5 different box sets within that whole box, it's slowly but surely I'll have the rest of them in that box one day. But yeah, for the moment, this next one, Johto Legends. I was going to do a video on this one. This is for Pokemon Gold and Silver. Yeah, I was going to sit down, work on a video on it and everything, all that stuff. And maybe I should have anyway or whatever. But Charles Cornell, he's a great pianist, on YouTube and all that stuff and everything. But yeah, he actually did a video talking about this arrangements album. The arrangements are by Braxton Burks.
What if we took it one step further? Well, that's exactly what Braxton Burks and a group of super talented musicians did by taking this music and writing orchestral arrangements.
Lugia's song was so different compared to how it is in the actual film. That's a track that, I really wanted to listen to and see how it was done and everything. And, initially listening to it, I was like, it's not like the Lugia song I know from childhood. So it was kind of like, being a little stingy about it at first, but the more that I listened to the album, the more it grew on me. And then listening to it on vinyl, specifically because it's like mastered differently and all that, so it's just a different experience overall. There was something about this album that just really translated well on this format, and it solidified my love for this album. Like, it really, really is great. And I don't know what it was, because I've listened to it a couple of times digitally, but then spinning it's just a completely different experience. If there's an album that you know that's like that for you, I mean, comment down below, but this is definitely one that happened for me. It's a must-have for sure. This next one, if you know, you know. This is Beethoven. These are a bunch of sonatas for piano and violin. And if you know an anime with the piano and violin, yes, that's right, Your Lie in April. I was at an antique shop just browsing through a huge collection of classical music, and the second I pulled this out, because I needed me some Beethoven, this piece right here was one of the very first things that I just like saw. Like, I pull this out, I see Beethoven, and the next thing, Kreutzer. If you know Kreutzer from Your Lie in April, it's the violin and piano scene. But yeah, Beethoven is definitely one of my favorite composers, one that I've listened to quite a bit in my early days of practicing piano and stuff like that. A lot of the pieces I often wanted to play were by Beethoven or Chopin. But Kreutzer being a part of this package just adds that hint of anime to this and gives me an excuse to share it with you guys. So there's that. On to the next one. Tiger Lab Vinyl's Pet Shop of Horrors. This is just incredible to me. One thing that really sticks out, aside from it just being, I don't know, the soundtrack for Pet Shop of Horrors on vinyl, I mean, just that in itself is incredible. The one I had my eyes on was the mermaid scale variant, which just absolutely beautiful. This feels like a product that would actually exist in the world of Pet Shop of Horrors. What do I mean by this? The episode with the mermaid, just to run it by you real quick, there was a whole thing with a woman on a boat who just got married to somebody who fell off the boat and her body was never found in the water. The man that she married got called to County's pet shop to pick up a pet that she had allegedly ordered. It finally arrived, and it just so happened to be this mermaid who looks a lot like the woman he just married. There's more to the story, but the thing that I find really awesome about this is who that man's wife was in the world of Pet Shop of Horrors, and she was a singer. To try and get this mermaid, who looked an awful lot like his recently deceased wife, to kind of, hopefully jog some memories or something like that, he would play the music that she used to sing. On the table, we see her album, and, it's on CD and everything, but if it's on CD, who knows whether in that world it was also pressed on vinyl. And so to have the tracks that she's singing on in the anime also pressed on this album, it feels like a tangible product that would have actually existed in the world of Pet Shop of Horrors, in the world of this anime. And it's for that reason that it just like really, really sticks out to me. And this is just, I just appreciate having this that much more. But on to the next one. Sam Yeung's arrangement album of music from Kingdom Hearts. I just wanted some Kingdom Hearts music on vinyl. I mean, before, I just had this album by Rosen and Revan that one of you guys shared with me, and thank you for that. It's absolutely incredible. And now I have this one by Sam Yeung, which both different takes on the Kingdom Hearts music. What was also neat about this one is that there were two variants. One was yellow like the star fruit, and the other one was the same kind of blue as the sea salt ice cream. There is also an official release of the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack, or select tracks from Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 in one box set on the Square Enix store, and it's a hefty price for that box set. But oh my god, I think Play Asia might be the cheapest way to get it. What a huge release for the beginning of this year, or first quarter of this year, for sure. But that was Sam Yeung's Memory of Light. On to the next one. Symphony of Zeal. This is music composed by Yasunori Mitsuda, Noriko Matsueda, and Nobuo Matsu. I mean, like, just those composers in general. I mean, Chrono Trigger. This is a video game soundtrack that's just hailed as one of the best video game soundtracks ever, and for great reason. If you've never heard any music from this soundtrack, do yourself a favor and just immerse yourself in that. This is one of those video game soundtracks where, listening to a whole bunch of stuff back in the day, looking for more pieces to play on piano and stuff like that, I've come across Zohar 002's piano arrangements of some of these tracks. I was just blown away by these arrangements, or just the music and these arrangements. It was just listening to a masterpiece, I managed to get the Demon King variant, which there are 4 variants of this. I wanted the Demon King one because of Magus. It's themed after Magus, and I haven't had a white marble record in my collection yet. So this is, I'm really happy to say, the first white marble record that I have in my collection. So there's that. Everything about this release, from the music to the Japanese ukiyo-e style art, and I'll link the artist in the description as well if you want to see some more of their stuff, but that is Symphony of Zeal. Definitely listen to it wherever or however you can. On to the next one. Take this next one with a grain of salt because it was sent to me by Vinylux, but this is one that when I think about all the records that I've obtained in the last year, this is a variant I was not expecting to like nearly as much as I do. I mean, I knew it was going to be a cool, variant because, the colorway just looked awesome and everything, but in terms of a record that just looks far more impressive than its mock-up, this is one that's a clear example in my mind. I mean, there's nothing else that I've looked at that was just like, oh man, I wasn't expecting it to look that different or so cool. And I'm not saying that because they sent it to me or anything like that. That's why I say take it with a grain of salt anyway. But as much as I like my Bloodpool variant because it's blood, like I wasn't expecting to have a different variant that I would feel I want to play more than that one, and this definitely did that, and I just wasn't expecting it. So there's that one really quick for you. On to the next one. This next one was a surprise drop, which I'm not a big fan of. This originally just got like shadow drops on CD Japan randomly one morning. It was just like, well, there you go. There it is. The complete soundtrack for Samurai Champloo. And this is Nujabe's Fat John. This is Departure, which is like the one you want, out of the 4. I've got all 4 of them here. But yeah, Impressions is another one. Because then you got Force of Nature, Fat John, and Nujabe's on there. These other 2, we're looking at Master and Playlist. If I was going to, let me do this from left to right, this is the order I would put it in. Departure, absolute must. Impressions, absolute second must. Yeah, these 2, this is like the meat of the soundtrack that you want, Let me know if you would find it in a different order, or if you find them all equally as must-haves. Let me know in the comments. The next one here, again, Tiger Lab Vinyl, just doing it again with not just a repress or anything, but a deluxe version of one of their previous releases, and that is of Perfect Blue. This release gave me yet another reason to listen to the soundtrack, and this is one of those soundtracks that I put under the same category as Akira. It's one that you don't listen to regularly, but one you listen to when you have to reconnect with your inner demons or something. So I did also have to cut some nubs off of this one with the nippers as well, but I mean, outside of that, again, this is a fantastic release, and yeah. Octopath Traveler, I mean, Yasunori Nishiki, he's done arrangements for some of the arrangements on Kingdom Hearts 3, 2.8, Cross, and Union Cross. So there's that. Octopath Traveler, though, this specific release just works for my OCD. I mean, in Octopath Traveler, you have 8 different paths that you can choose from and 8 different stories you can go through and all that stuff. There are 24 tracks between the 2 records here, and the idea to make it 24 stems from the 8 paths. That's 3 tracks per path you can take. I just love that, This also came with a download code for tracks that were never before released as well. That was a very welcome surprise there. And this is just another one of those games that I mentioned with Dark Souls 3. I was just stuck on the menu screen, but Octopath Traveler did that for me too. Yeah, I know there's an Octopath Traveler 2 coming out, and I hope that we get a release for 2's soundtrack as well, because gorgeous soundtrack here. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I do have 2 CDs that I picked up that I want to share with you guys. One of them did release last year, and the other one is just one that I've had my eyes on for some time, and I finally picked up. The first CD here is Though Seasons Change. This is Violet Evergarden Piano Memories, a Violet Evergarden piano arrangements album. What's really neat about this is not only I love piano arrangement albums. I forget who did the arrangements. I'll have them here, but I do know that Evan Call, the composer for the music of Violet Evergarden, did listen to and okay the arrangements for this album. Knowing that definitely gives this more points. I mean, you got 44 tracks between 2 discs here. One thing, and I don't know if it's just my copy, I mean, let me know if you have this or anything, but I did get a CD player specifically for this release. I didn't have one before. This is by no means my first CD player, but yeah, this was the first CD I listened to off of it, and it sounded airy. Of course, I immediately think it's the CD player, so I listened to a couple other CDs and they sounded just fine. So yeah, it's my only gripe with this, that it has a bit of an airy sound to it. Is it unlistenable? No, I can still listen to and enjoy this, but I wish there was just a little more clarity in it, but that's it. If you're someone who likes the piano and Violet Evergarden as much as I do, this is still definitely worth a pickup. The other CD, and this takes me back, this is the soundtrack to an anime called The Sacred Blacksmith. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this anime. I'm really interested. It's one that I don't know anyone else who's seen it. It's just one of the anime I watched back in the day when I was just first really watching anime. Alongside D. Gray Man, Claymore, Elfen Lied, Code Geass, and Air Gear. I mean, those are some of my like early anime. I mean, like when I knew what anime was, you know? But yeah, the Sacred Blacksmith, or Seiken no Blacksmith, this is just one that stuck with me. I have it on DVD and I have the complete manga set here. I haven't read the manga yet. The manga released after the anime, so I don't know how different that is in comparison. I have to go through and read that one day. This is an anime where, you know, I have nostalgia for, and I never really looked into the soundtrack or nothing before, and I wanted to change that. And yeah, this was the only way that, you know, the soundtrack was on a physical format, and so I picked it up. It does have the anime opening and ending, which is cool. But the music in between. The composer, Tamiya Terashima. This is a composer who made the music for Tales of the Earth Sea. This is a, you know, if you've never seen the Ghibli film, you've definitely seen this before. He's also done work with Kaoru Iwata, you know, composer to D. Gray Man and Inuyasha and 3x3 Eyes. He's done work with Kaoru Iwata on an anime that I've never even like seen before. So that's one I'm definitely interested in checking out as well. But there's a lot of neat things about this. I mean, the character artwork here, if it looks familiar at all, is the same illustrator who's done work for Sword Art Online and some Fire Emblem games as well. The illustrator is Kotaro Yamada, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes sense. I mean, this is in a medieval era type thing, and Fire Emblem is just Fire Emblem, you know? I don't know how much of his artwork is in this book, because he did some of the illustrations for the DLC for Fire Emblem Awakening. But let's get into the last record here. I don't even know what number we're on, but the last one I'm showing you. Apparently, I didn't record the main chunk for this one, so I'll just talk over the B-roll. As you can see, this is volume 2 of Made in Abyss with music composed by Kevin Penkin, and one of my favorite tracks in this one is Transcendence and Henna's Eve. It's a track that I feel explores different parts of the Made in Abyss soundtracks that I love put into a single track. The scene in Dawn of the Deep Soul that it plays in is also incredibly heartbreaking. I'm sure we're all familiar with Kevin Penkin by now, but I really wanted to shine some light on Takashi Saito. The angelic voice you hear singing the created language in Henna's Eve Caradina and Transcendence in Henna's Eve. Takashi's voice touches a certain layer of the soul I can't even exactly pinpoint. Maybe it's a layer of our souls that can be found deep in the abyss. But that's it for my list here, and I can't wait to see the list of your pickups in the comments below. What were some of the albums you picked up last year, whether they came out last year or not, that really stuck out to you? Some of your favorite pickups. I look forward to seeing that in the comments. I think that music is the best gift you can share with anybody, so I'm hoping that you appreciate the music that I've shared here with you. Are there any games or anime here you've never heard of, or you have heard of them but never looked into them? Keep on listening to the music to make these anime and video games so great. I will see you on the next video. Thank you.